Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome. My name is Rachel and thank you for clicking today's video, whether it was the title or the thumbnail. I'm hoping you enjoy the content, and of course if you are coming back as a subscriber, hey, as always, happy new year to all of you. I'm very much that person. If I do not see you in the month of January, maybe even February low-key, I will still say happy new year. So I'm just hoping and praying it's a good year. I think collectively a lot of us have like positive vibes and feeling about 2022, and so I'm just praying that carries on through the rest of the year. Whatever your hopes and dreams are for the year, whether you have resolutions or not, I do not. I'm hoping it's a good year, and I'm hoping you've had a great start to the year as well. So welcome. I post Sunday 7 p.m. every single week, so I would hope to see you guys again soon. But yeah, let's get into it. So I recently posted on my community page because I was being a bit nosy and I wanted to know what you guys spend your money on. And it's really interesting to see that there was a nice mix. I think skincare was another option people mentioned. And I think it was just interesting to see what people like to kind of splurge and indulge in. Now, with that being said, I've actually posted that because I had to low-key stop myself from going on like a shopping spree when it came to fragrances. I love just finding out what brands have released, like new fragrances, what's out. And equally, I really love watching other people's videos about what they're liking, what they're using, what they're raving about, all of that stuff. And it's actually quite interesting to try and build like a mental picture, I guess, or try and build an idea of what someone smells like from what they're recommending. And so yeah, I've really just been watching all of those different sort of videos. Now, with that being said, as you can see by the title, I wanted to focus solely on Zara fragrances. And not that that's all that's in my collection, but I do have quite a bit. If you're new here, I love Zara. I low-key think like with regards to high street stores, it's definitely up there for me. And obviously if you're not new, you already know how I feel. Now, with that being said, I'm definitely someone who leans more towards like oudi, sort of woody, quite dark scents, I would say. Now, for me, it depends on the mood. I'm very much someone that can switch into different families, whether it's like the gourmands, the sweets. Not really citrus though, unless it's like an orange sort of citrus, that I can do, but typically I don't really do citrus. So I know fragrance is subjective. This is going to be different for everyone. Some of the recommendations I may have, or some of the things I may mention, you'll be like, that ain't it. Now, I am not a fragrance connoisseur, so where possible, I will leave the notes on the screen. But I just wanted to give you guys an idea of like the mood I get from when I wear these scents, or kind of what they smell like. I'm trying to get you smelling it through the screen. Now, we do have quite a few to get through because the collection does not stop growing. So with that being said, let us get into it. Okay, after a super long intro, where possible, I have tried to pick scents that you guys can still get, whether you're US or UK based. I'm actually going to start with my most recent purchase, which is this one right here. This is Magnificently Dubai. If you are new to this, then you will probably not know, or maybe you've seen, Jo Malone creates or has two lines now, I think, that she's created with Zara with regards to fragrances. I do have the whole set because I wanted to try all the different ones. So if you are watching this and you enjoy this video, of course, thumbs up and subscribe. But do let me know if you want me to do a review of the actual whole Jo Malone collection that she's done with Zara recently. Now, with that being said, this right here is a bit of me and then some. So you get a little postcard with each of them. So if you're not familiar with this collection, it's basically like different cities around the world. And this, I have to shout out to my girl Yinka. She sprayed it on me and I said, what? This is amazing. Now, I love the packaging. You have this like reflective sort of side here. You will get fingerprints all over it. But as it kind of says by the name, Magnificently Dubai, if you've been to Dubai before, you know it's all about the ouds, the fragrances, and this does not miss the mark when it comes to this. I love it. This right off the top is, it has like a sweetness to it. Definitely has a sweetness to it, but it is giving you that oudi spiciness with a bit of citrus in there. Now, I know I said I typically don't do citrus, but this leans more towards like an oudi sort of smell, so I actually don't mind too tough. So the scent itself is definitely a warm sort of spicy smell. I, for one, think it's really comforting. Like it's It just makes sense. I can't keep just sniffing on the screen, but honestly, it makes so much sense. With regards to the notes, let's double check. It will be on the screen for you guys as well. So it has saffron as a top note, middle note is nutmeg, and the base note is leather. And honestly, I feel like you can smell each of them separately. Now, the only thing I would say about this one is the dry down does smell slightly different to how it is when you first spray it. So naturally, once the fragrance kind of settles into your skin, and all of that stuff, it does smell a little different, but I for one really love it. As I said, it does lean, there is a bit of citrusy sort of, there's a citrus vibe in there, but it's definitely like a warm, spicy scent. I'm a fan. When I think about like outfits and stuff, this deserves a blazer. This is a sort of scent where you walk into a room and it's kind of like, okay, you don't mind being smelt or seen, like you don't mind that attention just a little bit. This, I would actually say, not that I'm going to rank all of them, but this is actually definitely one of my favorites that I've purchased recently. I would say you could make this more of a nighttime scent, but someone like me, hey, if it smells good, I'm going to wear it any time of the day. So this first one, I'll definitely say it's warm. It is a little spicy. It's definitely got a strength to it. Like, it dries down differently though. So for me, I don't mind. I think when you first spray it, you get that like citrusiness, but like, is that a word? You get that citrus sort of note, but it does dry down to be a bit more like oody. Anyway, I can't just be sniffing on the screen. Say that to say, this is definitely one of my favorites. I would say test it out where possible, but like I said, if you want me to review the whole collection, more than happy to do so. So do let me know as well. But this is the it girl. So next one to mention, and I'm not really going to do it in any particular order at this stage, but next one to mention is Bois Soleil. And this, quite honestly, is probably the only one I can't currently find a link or I can't find on the website, which is really weird because it's not the one that was as popular as part of this collection. Now, that's absolutely fine. It is what it is, but this, dare I say, so I'm going to move into the other ones as well at some stage. So this is part of the like the Red Temptation, the Rose Gourmand, that collection that came out at that point. I know everyone was ranting and raving about Red Temptation. Rose Gourmand is equally beautiful, and I'll talk about those in a second, but I actually think this one was my favorite. Now, I think naturally a lot of the Zara fragrances tend to lean towards like more floral scents, which I'm not opposed to. I don't mind too tough. But I would definitely say if it's more that sort of woody, spicy, musky sort of scent, I'm more here for it. Almost those sort of scents where it's kind of like unisex, or it's almost like you could be wearing your man's fragrance, but it still smells good on you. So yes, as I mentioned, a lot of them are floral. This one, I think I would say, I'm not a connoisseur, so I don't know, but it's not walking through the field floral. And that's what I really like about it. It has nutmeg in it, and nutmeg and patchouli, I believe it does, but I'm such a fan. I'm such a fan of this one. As you can see, this is probably the one I've used the least, but it's because I like it the most. I know, how backwards of me, but as I said, I've been really trying to get a hold of another bottle. I actually genuinely like it that much that I've been trying to get hold of another bottle, and I've just noticed I can't. So I'm really using it sparingly. I mean, I have touched it, but not enough. Now, this one I'll definitely say, initially you get a lot of that floral, but I think when it dries down is kind of the part that I like more, which to be honest, I think is probably the better way to enjoy your fragrance. Now, I would probably say you could wear this in the evening or as an evening scent, but equally you probably could wear it through the whole day as well, because it's not as full force as the Dubai one that I just sprayed before. This one is really nice though, and I think the vibe it gives me is, again, just grown, mature, but not old, because I know that puts a lot of people off, where it's like, oh, my grandma smells like that. I'm like, well, I'm sure your grandma smells fly, don't be mad at it. But it definitely gives like grown woman vibes. The sweetness comes from like it being floral, I would say, but it's not like that sickly sort of sweet, or I don't know, I'm sure you get what I'm saying. But yeah, no, this one is really nice as well. Of course, I will swiftly move on to Red Temptation, which as you can see has had my attention as well. Now, Red Temptation, shout out to Melissa's wardrobe, because she had everyone going absolutely crazy over this one when she basically pointed out that yes, it smells nice and it's a dupe of Baccarat Rouge. Now, when it comes to the dupes, as I said, I won't list or mention everything they're dupes of, but if you do check the description box, I will try where possible to mention what they smell like or what they could be a copy of. Although I say I really like Bois Soleil, the reason why I love this one equally is because it kind of shifts away from floral, and it kind of has more of like an earthy scent to it. I'm not trying to teach you how to suck eggs. If you smell Baccarat Rouge, or you've probably smelled Red Temptation already, you kind of know what I'm on about. But it has amber in there. And I think a lot of the notes, as we go through the video, you see I really love amber when it comes to scents. And yeah, this one just makes sense. Now I know if you do own Baccarat Rouge, you probably feel differently about whether it's an actual dupe. I think for me, it's probably the longevity. That's probably something you can point out more than anything. But Red Temptation's a vibe. And she do be getting some love sometimes, but as you can see, there are others in my collection that I reach for a little bit more. Now, while we are talking about that collection, I might as well round it off with the second to last one I have. I actually have another one, but I can't remember where I put it. So, Rose Gourmand. Now, I usually actually wouldn't go for a fragrance that has rose in it, especially not as such a prominent note. However, this is nice in a sense where it has dry amber. Again, as I said, I love my amber. And it also has vanilla in it, which I think is equally a beautiful note or a scent to have in a fragrance. Now, I'm going to run out of skin space at some point. I would say out of all of them, Rose Gourmand definitely gives me the most sort of like floral. Like the rose obviously is quite prominent. However, I feel like all the other notes complement it quite well in a sense where this is giving you sweet and almost like a freshness and quite light, but it's definitely more of like an endearing smell. I think it's definitely more like a date night scent. Now, some people might think it's a bit light, or yeah, some people might think it's a bit light to wear in the evening, but honestly, I think it depends on your mood. It depends on the setting. It depends on the vibe. I'm all for wearing fragrances at different points of the day. The rose is prominent, but I feel like the vanilla and the dry amber just makes so much sense with it as well. So I think for me, if you're like me where you're not as much of a rose fan, like that's not the note I'm gonna see that I'll be like, yeah, that's gonna be for me. I think this is a nice balance. And it dries down really nice. Like, ooh, okay, let's be moving on. Now I'm gonna move into two fragrances that I have, the larger bottles actually. So I think these are the 200 ml. Yeah. The first one I want to mention is Gardenia. Now Gardenia, I definitely picked up because it was a dupe, or it is, should I say, a sort of a dupe of Black Opium. And Black Opium by YSL is a fragrance that I absolutely love. Now, I know, again, I've probably said that some people are like, oh, so that's the sort of scent you're into. But equally, like I said, fragrance is so subjective. So it's one of those ones where what you think it smells like on you might be very different to how it ends up smelling like on me. Say that to say, Gardenia is definitely a dupe for Black Opium, and it's so nice. The reason why I think I like this, not even more than Black Opium, because obviously they're two different scents and this is very much a dupe of it, but this has almost like a touch of freshness that I feel like Black Opium doesn't. Black Opium is quite a heady scent. Like if you haven't smelled it before, it's quite a deep sort of, oh, you about it scent. Whereas I feel like this has an element of freshness to it. There are so many notes in this one, so if I can't fit all on the screen, just to make mention, some of the top notes are raspberry, tangerine, some middle notes are gardenia, of course, and white flowers, and some of the base notes are vanilla, musk, and cedar. It is an amber floral, and again, it has that amber in it, which I'm hoping you're kind of building a picture of maybe how I smell or what I'm into, but it has so much going on in it, but I feel like it's not confused. There are some scents where I feel like I've smelled them and I'm like, I don't really know what angle you were coming from. I don't know what you were trying to smell like, but this ain't it. Whereas I feel like Gardenia is definitely that babe. Like, she's an it girl. Now, a lot of these scents, you can wear by themselves, but equally I know that I'm someone that likes to layer scents too. As I mentioned, I do have a lot of like oud oils or like oudy oils that I use. So sometimes I use those as like my foundation sort of base note, and then I spray different ones on top. Gardenia is probably a nice one to mix because it does have a sweetness to it, whereas maybe it doesn't have the lasting power that like the YSL Black Opium will have. Mixing it with like an oud kind of helps it last longer through the day. But it is a really nice standalone fragrance as well, hence why I bought the 200ml. So yeah, that was another one I'll definitely mention, because for me, this is great. And I think it's one of their ones that they tend to have in their collection, so you don't have to worry about it disappearing anytime soon. Next fragrance to mention, and the second and last of the like rose titled fragrances that I have in my collection, is Wonder Rose. Now, comparing this to Rose Gourmand, this is definitely less of a rosy sort of scent. But with that being said, I think out of all the fragrances I've got in my collection, and all that I've smelled, this is probably my most sweetest fragrance that I've got. It's really light. It's definitely more summertime. And again, I know I'm someone that just said, hey, I'll wear fragrances at any point, but I think this doesn't have enough body, should I say? That sounds more like wine, but it's not, it doesn't have like a depth to it that I would say, yeah, you could wear it in winter. It'll probably get lost in translation. But I would definitely mix this with some other fragrances that I have if for any reason I really just wanted to wear it. But it has a lightness to it. I know it's got vanilla as well as red fruits in it, if I'm not mistaken, but it's definitely like that fruitier sort of smell. And I think it's the only one actually that I might have that's like of a fruity base or a fruity sort of scent family. We'll go through it as we go along anyway. But this has a really nice sort of lightness to it as well. But I think because it has that lightness, that's probably why I'd say it's quite suitable for like summer, spring, summertime, like going into the warmer months. Equally, now I'm grown, I wear this and I like it, but I think this would be a really nice scent for someone who's maybe a younger sort of adolescent, those sort of ages where maybe you're just introducing them to like perfumes or fragrances and things like that. I love wearing it around the warmer months because I feel like it's fun, but it's like fresh, but it's not like citrus fresh. It's nice, it's fruity, but it's really nice and light. Now for me, as I mentioned, I know I said warmer months, if you are going to wear it sort of like autumn, winter, I do think you would need to like match it up with something that gives it a bit more depth. But it does actually last quite well, but as I mentioned, it just has a freshness to it. Wonder Rose, as you can see, this is the Eau de Toilette. I have got the bigger bottle, as I mentioned, because it's one of those fragrances where if I'm just running errands maybe, even if it is winter and I just want to like go out the house quickly, this might be something that I spray. So yeah, that would be the next one to mention. Okay guys, so next fragrance I have for you is one that realistically I don't need to introduce, because I feel like this is another one that everybody already knows about, and within reason, to be fair, and it is Ebony Wood. Now, not only did I get the small little 40ml, I think this was, I also got this set as well. Now, this was the first collection and collaboration that Jo Malone actually did with Zara, and as soon as I smelt this, I didn't even know this had been released. They had actually given me one of those fragrance sheets, like the fragrance cards. I don't know if anyone's ever had that in their packages or parcels from Zara. They gave that to me, and that's how I knew this fragrance essentially existed, and I'm not mad at it. It's definitely a woody, spicy smell, and I think it's got pink peppercorn. Actually, this one I do want to check the notes, because it's got pink peppercorn, cloves, and ebony wood. Now, I couldn't tell you for the life of me what ebony wood smells like, but I guess this is it. I love this fragrance. I don't mind using it by itself. I don't mind using it, like mixing it with other scents, but I think as a fragrance in itself, it definitely does well as a standalone. Oof. Now this, low-key, I think is unisex. Correct me if I'm wrong if you guys know, but I think it might be because of how deep and how like masculine it smells. I definitely think you could get away with wearing this with your babe, your boo, whoever. It's so nice. And I think for me, this kind of embodies the sort of scents that I really like. And so I was quite surprised to see that someone like Zara had done it. No shade, no tea to Zara, but as I said, a lot of their fragrances lean towards floral. So this I think is quite different, and I appreciate it as a collaboration, so that makes sense. Now this I have to show you because it literally is the Ebony Wood, but this is a bargain. It has the 90ml as well as a little travel size 15ml, and I think it's so good. If you can get it, I'll definitely link it below. I got mine for £15, which is even cheaper than if you were to get just the smaller fragrance by itself. So definitely a bargain. And as you can tell, I'm a fan. So I've got this size, the 90ml and the 15ml as well now. But again, similar to Red Temptation, I will not say too much about this, but this gives grown. This is the sort of scent where it's like, oh, okay, you've been into fragrances, you know what you're doing. It just smells really good, really spicy. Like the spiciness of this one, I'm thinking, which other one did I say was spicy? I think Bois Soleil, I might be wrong. But the spiciness of this one is definitely up there. No, the Dubai one, sorry, is the one that I said has that warmth sort of oudiness to it. But this is different, and it settles into my skin so well. I keep sniffing it. Like I said, I can't just be here sniffing fragrances. You guys are just be like, okay, Rachel, start talking. But yeah, Ebony Wood, honestly, similar to Magnificently Dubai. I'll be so surprised if you wore this and did not get a compliment. So I would say if I did have to rank it, this is probably second out of the ones I've mentioned so far. Okay, next one I have for you guys is Gourmand Addict. Now, I low-key feel like I said Wonder Rose might be the sweetest one I have, but actually, Gourmand Addict is kind of up there. Now, this is definitely a fruity scent, and with regards to the notes that it has in it, so it's peach, cassis, and patchouli in it. And I would definitely say the only reason why I say probably Wonder Rose is a bit sweeter is because this has like a, I was gonna say mellow. Can you describe a fragrance as mellow? It's quite muted. Not that you can't smell anything, not that it's not strong, but it's, for something called gourmand, it's not as sweet or as edible as you think it is. So again, if you're someone who isn't for like the really sweet scents, and let me not lie guys, I know I'm making it seem like I'm not, I really am here for it. As long as I find the right one, I am here for like a almost sickly sweet fragrance. However, this, it looks like I'm sniffing my armpit. This is really nice. I honestly cannot put my finger on what this even smells like. I don't think there's a dupe. Please let me know if you know otherwise, but it just seems like such a, like it's its own fragrance in its own lane. It's fresh in a sense where it isn't as deep as some of the other fragrances I have, but not fresh in a citrusy sort of sense. But it's so good. Gourmand Addict, like I really do feel like it says it in the name, but I feel like it's such a nice scent. Again, if I had to put it day or night, I'll definitely say it's more of an evening, nighttime scent. And again, I think it would be really nice as a base note, not base note, sorry, as a base fragrance. Like if you were to mix this with something, because it has like this almost like lightness about it, I think it would be really nice to tie it in with something. Cassis, again, as I mentioned, I'm not a fragrance connoisseur. I do not know what all of these individual ingredients, shall we say, smell like. But together, they make sense, and I'm not mad at it. Last two, or actually second to last, shall I say, although I'm showing you two. Second to last fragrances that I want to show you are Orchid and Violet Blossom. Now I'm showing you these together because as you can see, I've got the really small ones. And for me, these are great fragrances just to have in your bag. So they're both floral scents. Again, just to double check, I will be putting it on the screen. So Violet Blossom, which is the darker bottle, top note is Cherry Blossom, middle note is Magnolia, and base is Tonka Bean. Tonka Bean, 10 out of 10. Equally Orchid, top note is Bergamot, so this is an amber floral. Middle note is Orchid, and base note is Vanilla. As you can see, Vanilla seems to be one of the notes that's like trending through a lot of these fragrances, as well as Orange, and what else have I said quite a lot of? Amber. Yes, those are the ones that are running through it. This is a great one to throw in your clutch bag, I think. I'm probably going to end up mixing it with a fragrance I've already sprayed, but that's fine. I feel like Violet Blossom is, yeah, Violet Blossom is a great scent to have in your clutch for like evening time because it has more of a deepness to what Orchid is like. So Orchid I usually have in my work bag, actually. This is like my day-to-day work fragrance if I want to top it up. Honestly, it doesn't matter what I've sprayed in the daytime or like leaving my house. I like Orchid. Orchid has that similar sort of, when I say freshness, to the Woman Cherry that I just showed you guys before, because it's like it doesn't have a lot going on. To be honest, probably not the most long-lasting scent that I have, but it's one of those ones where even if you can't smell it, someone else will smell it on you. And naturally, if you've sprayed it on your clothes and things like that, it's a lot better. Whereas Orchid, not Orchid, sorry, Violet Blossom has like a, almost like a deepness to it where it makes it just more evening time appropriate. Now I'm thinking what part of it, I don't know what note it is in there. It might be the Tonka Bean. It might just be the Tonka Bean, to be honest, because Violet Blossom is one of those fragrances where when I spray it, especially when I've sprayed it on my clothes, after some time, once I take off my clothes or I put them or whatever I do with them, I can still smell it. So naturally, it's a great scent for evening time. Again, with the sniffing, but I Can't help it, they smell so good. But yeah, Violet Blossom and Orchid, kind of two different spectrums, two different ends of the spectrum. Orchid is definitely more lighter, more daytime appropriate, and Orchid, Violet Blossom, sorry, is more like evening time. So naturally, depending on what my day is looking like, I might keep both of them in my bag if I want to switch up my scent. Or as I said, day to day, I'll just keep like Orchid in my work bag or something. Last but not least is probably the most random for me scent-wise fragrance that I have, but it's actually not for my skin, so to speak, although you can use it. This is a fragrance hairspray. Now this is part of the collection where they had Ebony Wood. So again, it's one of the fragrances that I smell as part of the collection. So again, it's a Jo Malone collaboration. This one is really, really nice for my hair. So essentially it's a fragrance hairspray, as I've mentioned. Although it's citrus, and literally I would not really go for it on a normal day. I think like the top note is orange, which I do like, but there's a lot of citrus through the rest of the notes. Typically I wouldn't go for it, but honestly for your hair, I think it's a really, really nice scent to have. So naturally when I'm layering or I'm putting on my fragrances, I will always like spray on my pulse points, kind of give myself a spritz, spray on my clothes as well. And then I do like to spray something on my hair too. Now, depending on what sort of hair you have, whether it's extensions or you're in a wig, weave, whatever, or if it's your natural hair, you might want to change up the proximity or how much you spray on it, because obviously it has alcohol, it will be drying to your hair. But with that being said, I think it is really, really nice, just when you smell good, top literally to toe. So yeah, I picked up Amalfi Sunray. Now, the reason why I say it's a bit random is because naturally I actually wouldn't really like this on my skin. Like, you can spray this one all over, but it does sort of, what would I say, advertise it as a hairspray. You can spray it all over, but for me, I'd rather not wear it on my skin because I don't really like how it dries down, but on my hair it's absolutely fine. So yeah, that was the last one I wanted to show you guys. Now, I didn't go through them in order, but if there are scents that I said you had to go out there and smell, just to pick 5, Ebony Wood, 100%. Magnificently Dubai, I would say Wonder Rose is like an everyday fragrance, is really, really nice. Bois Soleil is another one. And 5th, I think it would be Rose Gourmand, you know. Rose Gourmand is a really, really nice fragrance. Not usually my go-to, as I mentioned, because of the rose, but it is really nice and settles in very, very well. For longevity, I would definitely say Ebony Wood is up there. Magnificently Dubai, sort of, but it smells quite different once it's actually settled in. So that initial burst you get isn't what you're going to be smelling a few hours into the day. So I think Ebony Wood probably does take the lead when it comes to that. It's actually been really interesting going through all of these again, and as much as I didn't want to spray each and every one of them, sometimes because of how many fragrances I have in my collection, I tend to forget what they smell like, or it's just nice to have a reminder to remember what I actually have in my collection. That is, I was gonna say everything in my collection, but that would be a lie. I literally think I might have like another 6 to 10 other Zara fragrances. The price points are so good and they come up with so many, so it's hard not to build up a collection. But some of them are really, really small, like this sort of size, or maybe even smaller, so don't fault me for it. However, these ones I mentioned because they're ones that I'm loving using and ones that should still be available for you guys to buy. Now, as I've mentioned, I've already given you a ranking of what I think smells good and so on and so forth, but I have to reiterate, fragrance is one of those things where it's so subjective that even when it comes to gifting someone fragrance, you have to be super, super careful. Like, it's just one of those things where you never know what someone's going to gravitate towards. Now, naturally, these are the ones that I really, really like. Like I said, if we're talking light to deep fragrances, I'm more on that side of deep. So hopefully I've given you an idea or like a profile of what sort of scents that I like. If you are going to blind buy or blind purchase, go ahead. Let me know if you do and if you like it. But given that these are Zara and availability should still be there, I would definitely recommend maybe spraying them and smelling them first, just so you can actually see how it settles in on your skin. It's one thing to like notes and certain sort of fragrance families, but it is another thing to see how it actually works with your body chemistry. So hopefully if you get a chance, I would say do so. But if you do want to trust me on a few of them, go ahead. I've given you my top recommendations. But yeah, hopefully this gives you an idea of how I smell. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. As I said, if you do want me to go through the discovery set of the second Jo Malone collection with Zara, do let me know. I'll be more than happy to do so. But until my next video, Sunday 7 p.m, stay well, stay blessed, good vibes only, be smelling good, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.